You know, I can't even begin to talk about what just transpired in this game between the Indianapolis Colts and the New York Giants. But I appreciate you guys for tuning back in to another episode. This is your boy, Culture Shark. Truly, we're going to be going over the game, the matchup between the New York Giants and Indianapolis Colts. The Colts headed up to New York with the playoff opportunities still at stake, and they wind up laying an egg in New York. The Colts lose to the Giants 33 to 45. This is the most points the Giants, I think, put up all year. This team is was number one in the NFL draft lottery, and they wind up putting a whooping on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I don't know if the Colts knew how important this game was or what they knew was at stake, but they went out and played like they didn't know what was the opportunity that was in front of them. They had so many chances to turn this team around to actually being contenders in the playoffs. And this game in New York just showed you where they were mentally and physically as a team. It showed you. Malik Neighbors looked like why he was a top pick. He looked like he was back at LSU. And I love Neighbors. His game, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. And he was pretty much the only target you had to cover if you were a Colts defense going into this game. My number one assignment would have been stop Malik Neighbors. Anybody else, I would have had them do. Wan'Dale Robinson, I would have had him cook me. But Malik Neighbors should have been double teamed. It was an unacceptable performance in my opinion. No way you should let a Giants team put up 45 points against you at all, especially the way they've been playing all year. It's no way. And they had Drew Lock playing that quarterback. They're down to the end of the season. They pretty much just playing for pride at this point, and they defended their home field against you. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how Colts players going to recover from this. I don't know how they're going to feel going into next season. But the mindset has to be pretty much reset. It has to be reset. The same players year in and year out, same scenario, same outcome. You have the playoffs right in front of you year after year, and you lay an egg every year. You lay an egg when it matters. So I got to give kudos to Jonathan Taylor. I think he had an exceptional game. Alec Pierce had an exceptional game. Michael Pittman Jr. He had a good game as well. Colin Granson had some big plays. But all in all, like Joe Flacco, we knew going into this game what we were going to get out of Joe Flacco. Of course, like he was going to go out there and be himself. I didn't think he was going to have a great game. He had a few passes where they were good throws, but in totality, like when we needed it the most, it just wasn't there. The offense was flat, honestly, and I think the defense was the biggest let up. I think the offense kept us in this game. Honestly, I think the offense was the biggest reason we were in this game. Joe Flacco was being the vet, but the defense was just an embarrassing performance overall in total. Safeties couldn't get there. Kenny Moore was getting exposed. He had a very bad game. DeForest Buckner had himself a good game. Grover gave him a good game as well. Zaire had himself a decent game. But other than that, we were just food to Malik Neighbors, honestly. Drew Lock did whatever he wanted. He did whatever he wanted. When the pressure wasn't there, even when it was there, he just did whatever he wanted. I never seen Joe Flacco run so fast in my life on the offensive side. When I seen Joe Flacco taking QB runs, I knew this game was over. I knew it was over. The identity was for Anthony Richardson, but Joe Flacco was doing it. And this is just like you have to have a better game plan for what you got back there. You have to have a better game plan. If your identity with Joe Flacco is to run the football, you run the football. It's that simple. You do not have Joe Flacco, who's 40 years old, trying to take QB runs. It's just unacceptable. He was throwing on the run, making some dots. He was throwing some beautiful passes. He threw a lot of gutsy, what are you doing passes as well. Those interceptions was just, I could have caught those. That's how obvious those passes were. But, give credit where credit is due to the Giants team, man. They went out there, played for pride, and it showed, and they wound up winning that game. But moving forward, like I said, Jonathan Taylor, he did all he could. Mark Lewinsky, he got pulled out on some stunts. The offensive line, they protected all they could, but at the end of the day, this Colts team, performance wise, on the defensive side, it just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't. You can't let that happen. You can't let a Giants team like that. You can't let Drew Lock be almost 100% throwing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He looked like prime Tom Brady. It's just not good football. You can't win like that. Tyrone Tracy, he had a few big runs. He had a one run when he ran for like 40 yards. That was a big splash. Like I said, Neighbors, 7 receptions, 171 yards, 24 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson cooked Kenny Moore in the end zone. Darius Slayton had a big catch. Tracy did running and receiving, so that was a good kudos to him. Jason Pinnock, safety for the Giants, he had himself a field day. He was everywhere. Everywhere. So I definitely got to give credit where credit is due to him. Belton was the one that caught the pick. Deontay Banks, I feel like he was very handsy. I watched him at Senior Bowl down there in that Mobile, but he was really handsy in his coverages. But the Colts, like I said, they pretty much wet their own bed on this situation with the playoffs in front of them. When the news broke that Richardson wasn't playing, I was kind of like up in the air with the situation. Kind of was like, okay, this might be over. But Flacco, he came out the gate willing and dealing. He throwing some really good throws. Like the offense has some life. Of course, we had some stale scenarios when we missed some field goals, went for it on fourth down when we shouldn't. There was a few controversial plays. Was like why, like the hands off to Taylor. But you got to get the ball in the best player's hands. Of course, we couldn't convert, but I feel like I don't know. I just feel like the execution wasn't there for the players. Of course, when it comes down to coaching, the guys just feel like they just weren't locked in. I feel like they weren't locked in, honestly. Hopefully, the defense showed enough to change. I feel like we got to just do a full reset from top to bottom. GM, coach, coordinators, everything. I don't know if Richardson showed enough to be the guy if we do get a new GM. I don't think he has, but I feel like he short a stick with the injuries and everything. I feel like he didn't have a reasonable time to go out there and show it. But honestly, like I said, this team has been the same for years, and I always preach continuity and have this bright mindset going into next year. But it's the same players and the same mistakes. And a lot of these guys' contracts are expiring. So it's like you got to know what you got to do at the end of the day. You know what you got to do. It's going to be a tough call, a tough decision. But, I mean, we're just wasting years at this point as a fan. And as these players are getting older, it's like I would just ship them off to a new scenery. They'll probably flourish more because what Indianapolis got going on right now is not winning football. It's just not. It's not winning football. So something has to change. Honestly, I feel like there won't be a bad direction either way. Um, if you go out there, get a new GM and like that, you're going to be starting from scratch. You keep this team around, you're going to be in the same position at the end of the day. So I feel like a full reset is needed, and it has to be done as soon as possible. Um, like I said, it's unfortunate for Richardson because he just got drafted, but this team has been structured the same for multiple years, and we had the same outcome. No change at all. So this is the best time to do it, honestly, for the Colts because we haven't won a division in a long time, and we haven't had a positive record for consecutive years. So I feel like it's a good time to do it, honestly. But like I said, the season's over. We got one more game to watch until we get to the off season. Even though the off season's starting now for the Colts, so my mindset would be is who you want to keep and who you want to get rid of at this point. Even though it's been like that all year, this year has pretty much been an evaluation year in my eyes. Of course, we could have made a splash and made some changes. We could have actually competed, but it was a little too late. With everything going on with the controversy of the benching, and Joe Flacco just playing bad football all year, the defense not being consistent, the offense not being consistent, it's just been a carousel of a situation again for the Colts. So they got a lot of thinking to do. Hopefully they make the right decision. If it was up to me, I'd just go reset. You're not losing anything doing that. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Should we keep Shane Steichen? Should they just reset from scratch? Who would you keep? Who would you get rid of? Let me know all these things in the comment section. I'll be back next week, this week, at the end of the week, to give you a preview of the game. Other than that, you guys enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe. Happy New Year's, and I'll see you.